Right now, our focus is on winning as many games as we can to position ourselves for the postseason and be trending upward, as a defense to help our team be successful when we get there. So we're making some improvements in some areas. Third down has been solid. Red zone has been solid. Our guys are playing tough in the trenches, in the run game. Our front people are hitting blocks. And then, our rush is coming pretty good. You saw Daniil and Za'Darius, they're pretty disruptive in that game along with all our other guys. This Packer team, they're balanced. They have the running threats, the dual running threats of Dillon and Jones. And then Aaron Rodgers, you don't need to say much more. And they're playing well right now. So we got all that. This would be a great test for us, and we got to earn the right to play good football against this group.
Now, you've talked about mixing in some pressures here and there, and you guys have done that a little bit in terms of the blitzes.
Yeah.
How difficult is that to do it against a guy like Rodgers?
Yeah, it's tough. He has all his RPOs and his mechanisms, and he has one of the quickest releases we've seen in years. So that's what makes him great.
So the four-man rush coming along right now is probably a good time for them to
Yeah,
be helping.
it is definitely. But we have a lot of confidence in our rush, and we think they're going to be big in the postseason as we move on.
Ed, what's the key to linebackers getting home when they blitz? I mean, I'm sure it's
Yeah.
more complicated than just run at the quarterback, right?
Yeah, well, the game plan, who they're blitzing against, and the matchup, and what's the characteristics of that back, and then what's the natural things that each backer brings to us. All our backers are a little bit different.
Guys like Harrison Smith and Eric Kendricks, who usually play every snap, they took about 10 off, rested them a little bit in the last game. How do you kind of decide when you're going to bring in some of those backups if you're reducing some snaps from some guys and that sort of thing?
Well, the first thing, there's a reason for it, and it's twofold. And this is a 17-game season. We do know we're in the tournament with a home game, and we want to take some of their workload off them so they can be fresh for the playoffs. The second thing, we want to look at young talent and see different combinations. And if we can accomplish both those things, with playing, some of our younger players, and maybe they can get a role for the playoffs that we don't know of at this point. So when to and when not to.
You figure, well, we're going to play this guy this series, or is it kind of the flow of the game?
Yeah. We start out with a plan and a rotation, and we talk to all our coaches of the combination you want, but then you have to know what game you're at. And when certain things unfold, we'll look and lean on certain combinations.
Do you also factor into that maybe who you're playing and get rid of Rodgers so you don't have to see him a third time?
Yeah. Really, we think anybody we play is going to be a good team in the playoffs. And our focus is on beating the Packers. This is such a storied division. You just look at all the rich tradition and how competitive every team is in this division. So I think both teams know how important that is. If we were playing for nothing, it'd be a huge, huge game.
We've seen Josh Metellus at safety. Do you see him also with some nickel capability as well?
Repeat that question, please.
Josh Metellus?
Yeah.
We've seen him at safety. Do you also see him, with some flexibility there to have nickel, to be in the nickel as well?
Yeah, he can be a nickel or dime for us, to answer your question, yes.
And is that something you knew about him coming in, or did you just kind of notice that over the course of the season?
Yeah, it'd be more over camp in the course of the season that we noticed that.
Obviously, Darius was pretty hyped up for that first meeting. What's he been like this week?
Normal. He's been very normal, but you know how competitive he is, and the energy he plays with. So I'm sure when he steps on that field, the familiarity of that will pump him up another notch.
He hasn't had a lot. He's had the pressures, but not a lot of sacks
Yeah.
in recent games. Why do you think he's not getting those sacks per se?
Yeah. Well, we spread him around with our team, and we've been pretty solid in that department. But you mentioned the first thing. It's about pressures. That's really what this league's about. And then we can tally up the sacks some other way. But both those guys have been solid. I know they're right around 10. And certain weeks you see one guy push, the other guy get to work, or somebody get to clean up. But we're not concerned about that. What we are concerned about is how comfortable that quarterback is down to down.
When you think of Brian Asamoah, how does his body type kind of showcase a trend feel in the NFL and what linebackers can be and need to be.
Yeah. Well, with all the spread out offenses and the RPOs and the screens and so forth that have come into vogue, you need people that can play in space, and you need people that can close distance. So you're gonna see a faster, more sleek guy in the future. So, and it's just keeps trending that way.